The main reason why I wanted to become a police officer is because of the job security, and I knew that it entailed having a pension after 20 years as well. But I would say one of the key things is that I wanted to get into real estate, and I knew that with a well-paying job that it would allow me to step into that realm. After getting onto the job, I've saved some money, and I said, you know what? I've had enough fun. Let me start investing into real estate as I always planned. In the year 2015, I dibbled and dabbled in it a little bit, but I didn't really take it serious. I tried to find out about buying long-term properties, short-term rentals, and things of that nature. But I wanted something that consisted of no or low money down. And I would hear about this so much in real estate. So I started to do a little bit of research, and I found out about wholesaling real estate. I always hesitated. I was very comfortable with the amount of money that I was making on the job. I was comfortable with the fact that I was able to build some great credit, buy nice cars, go on vacations, buy a house, and things of that sort. But when it came down to me investing in real estate, I didn't really begin to take it serious until probably the year of 2018. With the year of 2018 in place, I decided to do more research on wholesaling real estate, in which I said, you know what, this is something that might work. There were different ways of getting into it. You could send out what's called mailers so that you could reach homeowners that had rundown homes or had homes that they've been renting for a long period of time that they may not want anymore. And if they did not want them, I reached out to them, tried to be proactive to see if they would be willing to sell me these properties at a discount. Once you get those properties at a discount under contract, the plan was to go back, sell that contract for a high amount and make a spread. I didn't know anybody else around me that was doing this. The only people that I know or knew of were gurus that I would see on YouTube. As you all might have heard, especially if you're trying to learn something on YouTube, specifically when it pertains to real estate, you have YouTube University, right? So I continue to just beat my head, trying to figure out how to make this happen, figure out how to make this work. And eventually I found a gentleman online by the name of Max Maxwell, and he had a real estate group on Facebook. And within that group, I found this woman on Long Island, and I'm not going to say names here, and I'll tell you why. Found this woman in the group that said that she was doing what's called wholesaling in Long Island. She called herself the Long Island Wholesaling Queen. I said, wow, here's my chance to partner up or to speak to somebody that may be a good mentor, may be able to help me on how to maneuver in wholesaling real estate here on Long Island. Eventually, I just lurked and lurked, as most people usually do when it comes down to something that they're interested in. And I saw that she posted something in the group about a blueprint on how to go about wholesaling in Long Island. Now, Long Island was known to be a very competitive market when it comes down to real estate, more specifically when it comes down to wholesaling. Long Island and New York is an attorney state. There's a lot of loopholes that you have to go to, and people do not play nice when it comes down to their money out here. And they take their houses very serious. And then you have a lot of backstabbers and grimy people when it comes down to the real estate market here on Long Island. But with that said, she had a blueprint. She was willing to sell the blueprint for $300. I hopped on the phone with her, told her that I was interested. It looked like I was on my way to making thousands and thousands, if not millions of dollars. I took a lot of the practices that were in that blueprint, in addition to some of the things that I learned on YouTube University. And I decided to gather information and pursue what's called cold calling. I gathered a list of people that owned homes in which they did not live in. And I did what's called a skip trace, which is where you go, you find out the person's address, or you have these addresses, and then you put it through a system and it gives you the person's phone number. I would also do what's called driving for dollars, where I would drive around, look at homes that look like they were disheveled, that nobody cared about, take that address, put it through my skip trace data, and then I would receive that phone number, and I would sit on the phone for hours before going into work and get in contact with these people. Well, eventually I got lucky and I came across a guy, and he lived in Wyandanch, and the home that I came across was in Wyandanch. But not only that, he had, or he claimed to have had, 16 other properties. He said that he wanted to get rid of all 16 of them. As soon as I heard that, I called this person that created this blueprint. Figured she would know what to do. I figured $1 million was right around the corner. Well, when I called her, she said, hold on, let me call somebody else. I said, okay. 16 houses. Sounds like it might be a little complicated. Might be over her head, because I'm sure that she, with her just starting, even though she's had some experience, she needs some help. There might be somebody that's a little bit more experienced that mentored her that might be able to help us as well. She calls that person. I'll tell that person about the 16 properties. She didn't know what to do either. She eventually goes and calls another person. And this is the person that I'll be talking about today. In regards to this gentleman that owned these 16 properties, it turns out that he was so difficult that we only wanted to finish a deal in regards to the one property that I called him on initially. With this person now on board with me, this mentor, or this person that says they could get this deal done, I trust her. I pass the deal over to her. I want to be heavily involved in this deal because I don't like to be fished for. I like to be taught how to fish. I want to fish for my own stuff. I don't want the fish handed to me. I want to learn how to go about doing it so I can do it on my own. That was the first red flag. She did not want me involved in the deal. The way that she explained it is being that I was new and being that she didn't have much time, that it was best for me to stand on the side. She would feed me the information in regards to what was going on with the deal, but she would make sure that she completes everything along with her husband because they were experienced. I said, okay, no problem. It's my first deal. If it were to be closed, it will be my first deal ever closed. So a few weeks and a few months passed by, and guess what? She closed the deal. And from her closing that deal, I made $10,000. That's right, $10,000. It probably took about 2 months from start to finish. This is the first time I ever saw anybody on Long Island complete a deal because of the complexity. So from then on, I said, wow, she really knows what it is that she's doing. She then offered me the opportunity to continue to feed her deals, which in turn would make me what's called a bird dog, somebody that finds deals and then passes the deals along. I was not okay with that. And the reason why is because, like I told you, I wanted to learn how to fish. I wanted to be the fisherman. I didn't want the fish handed over to me. There were a lot of arguments. There was a lot of yelling back and forth, most in which this person did. And you know what? I took a lot of it. And the reason why is because I was so desperate, I would say, and I was so hungry to become a millionaire and to become successful and to prove to people that I can be a successful entrepreneur, that I took a lot of the nonsense that I normally would not take, especially being a police officer in New York City. Now, it came down to the point where I would express the deals to people. I would express, all right, I'm working with this person. They're saying that I'll get a 70-30 split for what it is that I bring to the table. And immediately a lot of people told me, get away from that person. That was red flag too. Because anybody that's willing to mentor you in this real estate game, it's going to be a 50-50 split. And I was hearing this across the board. But this person claimed to be very spiritual, believer in Christ. And like I said, I knew that She was experienced, and the potential to make money on Long Island was huge. So I said, you know what? She helped me close my first deal. She got me paid. Let me move forward. Some money is better than no money, but if I learn how to do things, then I will be good. And I won't need this person anymore. A couple months go by. We get into a falling out. I'm not really liking the communication and how things go. I had fed her another deal. At that time, it had not closed. We stopped talking. She stated that she did not want to deal with me as a business partner. I stated that I didn't want to deal with them either. A few months go by. Actually, I think it was about a year that went by. Had I get a call, "Hey, Lenny, are you available to speak?" Sure. I'm a very forgiving person. He said, "I just wanted to let you know that one of the deals that you passed over to us, it closed. And I have a check for you." I don't remember the exact amount, but I believe it was for about $3,800, something like that. And I said, "Hey, this is some money that I wasn't expecting." She called me out of the blue, and I was like, "Hey, I'll take it. It's from the fruits of my labor." And then she said, "You know what? I want to talk to you. I understand that things were sour in the past, but I really see the potential in you, and I see what it is that you might be able to accomplish and what we might be able to accomplish together. I'm too busy." She said that she was too busy closing deals and getting deals done. And if I could help find the deals, then we'll do the same split that we said we would do before. And I said, "You know what? I'm a little tired of the job. I still want to do real estate. So yeah, let's do it." So I did. I continued to push forward. And in that process, she let me know that being that I had a podcast, which was the Finance United podcast at the time, and a clothing brand, and I had a presence on social media amongst law enforcement, which was a very small one, nothing crazy. And I had a good relationship with other police officers on my job and at my precinct. She said, "What I would like to do is I would like to create a fund in which we bring in police officers and we raise capital with these police officers from their pensions and from their money saved so that we can purchase properties." So I said, "Okay, that's a good idea." They told me what they would be willing to pay me for bringing in police officers or bringing in people that were willing to loan them money or loan us money so that we could take down and purchase other properties, whether it was for holding costs, transactional fees, repairs, whatever it may be. Sometimes the money would be held for a month, weeks, a couple of months. It varied. So I said, "You know what? Sounds like a good idea." I said, "Let me start out with myself first." So I took some money that I had saved, and they had a deal or two, and I put up the money and I said, "Listen, I trust you guys, so let's make this happen." And we did. And I got my money back. The next process was I happened to be telling them about some capital that we came across, my wife and I. And they said, "You know what? I have the perfect opportunity. I have a home that's in Scranton, Pennsylvania, that is the perfect opportunity to be converted into a 2-family home. But right now it's a 1-family. I have somebody that would be able to rent the property. The only thing that I would need, or the only thing that we would need, is for you to put down $35,000 and we'll make you a partner, half and half partner. You receive half the rent and you receive half ownership of the property." This amount was for $35,000. So keep that in mind. Everything is rolling along. Everything is going great. I'm bringing other police officers in. They're getting their money back. I have other money on the side. I'm getting my money back. Things are looking good. At the same time, I said, "You know what? Let me mess around with watches." So I started messing around with the watch game as well while doing real estate. It was a really fun time. Things were really good. I had some extra money. They came across another opportunity while I'm still in the other one that's paying me maybe about $200 a month. I said, maybe the property value will go up. If not, we'll be able to repair it, fix it up, with the money that I put into it and the money that they'll put into it, and we'll be able to go back and sell it for money. But in the meantime, I'll have $200 cash flow. They came to me with another opportunity. This opportunity was for another home. It was a multi-family property in the same area, the city of Scranton in Pennsylvania. It needed a lot of work. And with it needed a lot of work, they were raising capital so that the work could get done. During this process, I actually brought in a few of my friends that put in some capital. They got paid back. I put in $25,000. I said, you know what? This is cool. They were willing to pay me more than they were willing to pay my friends. I just needed to hold my money in there a little bit longer. And I trusted them. I said, I'll be fine. I said, it's going to be all good. Time passes by and passes by. Excuse after excuse. Oh, there's things going on with the town. There's things going on with the other partners. So much crap that I can't even recollect. Did I believe some of those things? And to this day, do I think it's true? I do. I do think that some of those things that they were telling me or excuses that they were giving me were true. Now, in regards to the first property, for some reason, the owners of that property, or some reason the residents in that property, they began to have a domestic issue. They began to incorporate domestic violence into their household. As a result of the domestic violence, they started to, for whatever reason, destroy the property. Now, I think the reason why they started to destroy the property is because this person that I was dealing with was not good at speaking with people. And as a result, I'm pretty sure that they destroyed the property out of spite. Now, this property and this person that I'm dealing with as a business partner is not letting me know what's going on behind the scenes, because she said that she was going to be in charge of everything and she was at the forefront. And this is where I hold myself responsible, because I can't blame this person for taking my money. I can't blame this person for anything, because I should have been more involved and I should have seen the writings on the wall. But because of my greed, because I was comfortable, and because I was like, okay, this is plug and play, I had my hands off of the wheel. Getting back to that property, it turns out that they damaged it so bad that it became condemned. But I still believed that with her expertise, in some way, shape, or form, that we were going to get it back to where it is that it needed to be, and figure out how to make money from it again, whether we flip it, whether we put more money into it so that it could be rented again. I don't know. But my hopes were high, and I figured that we would work together to figure this out. I can't remember all of the timelines, but everything kind of just started to happen very quickly. I contributed the money for the multifamily property, as I mentioned before. I think it was like a 5 or 6 unit. Contributed 25 grand to that. And then COVID-19 happened. And I began to become very disgruntled with the job due to the vaccine mandates and due to not being able to practice my spirituality the way that I wanted to. I was not able to be around my family the way I wanted to be around them. And I was looking for a way out. And I knew that God wanted me to follow him. In the interim, I didn't have any other deals come through, but I was raising capital and I was making a few extra bucks here and there. I thought I was good. So I bought myself a nice car, nice Mercedes-Benz GLS 63. Had some nice watches that I was dealing and I owned at the same time. Bought myself a nice little motorcycle. Thought I was good to go. I decided to leave the job. And the reason why is because these same people that I was working with, they convinced me that they had me. They convinced me that they were going to take care of me. And they convinced me that I had nothing to worry about and that they had my back when it came down to real estate. I didn't leave solely because of them. I left because I knew that I needed to pursue my purpose and I knew that I needed to pursue my relationship with God. But I felt like they were my resource for being able to sustain a living and to support my family, pay for my mortgage, put food on the table. I left. And real estate was going to be my bread and butter. I had the car, I had the motorcycle, I had all the nice watches, I had the house, plenty of things I wanted to do for my house and for my family. And with me having more free time now from the job and being able to spend more time with God, I just thought everything was going to be all good. It got so good to the point where they said, Lenny, I want to start up a property management company. And I said, okay, what will it consist of? It consisted of helping people rent out their home, and it will consist of managing the properties as well. But they told me it's going to be a $35,000 buy-in. And I said, for what? And that buy-in was going to be for me buying into their company, being that they have so much expertise and, it's a privilege for me to be a part of it. And we're going to be able to make this amount of money. We're going to be able to make that amount of money. We already have this rolling and we already have that rolling. So I said to myself, hey, what's the worst that could happen? Maybe I just make my $35,000 back and I'm good to go. So at this point, I'm at 35,000 plus 25,000. That brings me to 60. Then another 35,000. That brings me to 95K. Still raising capital with these people. I have a few friends that are very interested in adding more money, and they did, and things went well. But I had a good friend of mine, who I won't mention, that was willing to. I had two good friends actually that were willing to put up a good amount of money. I'm talking 6 figures or more. But then I started to look at my circumstances and me not really wanting to be involved with them anymore because of their controlling, negative outlook on life and in business and their greed, in addition to me not receiving any of my money back and things not going as well as I thought they would with the property management business. So before going forward with my two friends, and one of the key things is one of my friends, he's very inquisitive, and he said, where are they based out of? And I said, they're based out of Scranton. Where do they live? I couldn't even tell you where they lived. And to be quite honest with you, I only met up with them once. Maybe two. I met up with them once. A lot of our interactions were through the phone, virtually, FaceTime, and stuff like that. And I didn't really think much of it. The reason why is because I've done business virtually. I've closed deals virtually. So I wasn't really too concerned about that. I spoke to them regularly. But my friend, he started asking me questions. Where do they live? How long have they been in business? Their first and last names. I knew that stuff. Well, their first and last names at least, but I didn't know where it is that they lived, like what their address was or anything of that nature. That started to stand out to me. That really stood out. I was like, you know what? I should know this information, but I've been so greedy that I don't. So then I started asking them, and when I started asking them, they got a little uncomfortable. They got a little shaky. They started telling me about all the people that they've never met, that they've done deals with, and how many people trust them with their money. And it started to make me feel like if other people trusted them with their money, then I should too. Like they were making me feel bad about it. But once again, this is all due to my own greed. We get to the point where one of my friends wants to put in $100,000, and I said, you know what? I think you should pass. The people that I was working with, they were so convinced that I was going to bring in $100,000 for them. But I told them that I did not feel comfortable doing that if I still had not received the money that I lent them. So they started to say to me, oh, well, we could put you into this and we could put you into that. We could roll your money into this and we could roll your money into that. And what I began to realize is that all they were doing was they were taking my money and most likely rolling it into paying off other people, like a Ponzi scheme. I then realized that I was in danger. I realized that I was in trouble. And it made me go down a very dark path. I started trying to mess with crypto. I lost about $10,000 in crypto, trying to make all this money back and hope that I would get it back very quickly. Or I'll be able to make a good enough amount of money until they pay me back. Because for the longest amount of time, I thought that I was going to get paid back. I was in a deep depression. I kept looking at this sign behind me, purpose over pension, and I really started to doubt my path and where I should be. The only way that I made it was by putting my faith in God and focusing on Him and Him giving me a plan. I still never got that money back. It put me in a very tough spot. I had to give up my car. Instead of them repossessing it, I gave it up. My motorcycle, instead of them repossessing it, I gave it up. My watches, I sold them all. And I realized that I needed to be in that space in order to focus on what really mattered, which is my purpose, and focusing on what God needed me to do. At the beginning of this conversation, I stated how I wanted to prove to people that I could be successful, especially after me leaving the job early and pursuing my purpose. I said, this is the way I show people that doubted me. But God needed to show me that He had to strip me of everything to be where He really needs me. I didn't understand it. I didn't want to understand it, but I had no choice but to. I told these people that I no longer wanted to work with them. I wanted to get my money back. I had a conversation maybe a month or so after. I spoke with the husband. He stated that he would try to get me at least $10,000 back within the near future, and he didn't know what the rest of the payment schedule was going to be. And then he started to hurl insults at me. Well, maybe if I wasn't doing this and trying to be a baller like that, then I would have this and had that. But it was just his way of deflecting the negativity from himself or what he has done off of himself. People often ask me, Lenny, why don't you hire an attorney to go after them? Why don't you figure out where it is that they live? If I was you, I would have hurt them. But what I've come to realize is that all of that would do nothing but disrupt my peace. I had to hold myself accountable. I had to accept the responsibility for my laziness in not doing my due diligence and my level of comfort that they allowed me to have. Them borrowing money from me and my friends and paying it back and paying it back and paying it back, I realized it was just them building up to a bigger payday, to the point where maybe I could raise $1 million and then boom, they're just gone. But I cut it off because I did not want to endanger my friends' money from being stolen. And when I told them that, they had a fit. Like I said, to this day, still don't have my money. Due to my due diligence in prayer and reading my Bible and coming across some great people, God put a good friend of mine, Ilya Kosalov, in my way and showed me the right way to do real estate. I accomplished maybe 4 or 5 deals with this man. And when I was in a tight spot, what it is that he was able to do for me and teach me and be able to take his time out and show me the ropes was a true blessing, was really God sent. But I still realized that real estate was something that I was doing in order to prove that I can make money or that I could be successful. It wasn't something that I was passionate about, but God provided it for me so that I could provide for my family. With working with a man of God like Ilya and continuing to get closer to God, I stayed consistent in sharing my message on social media and my experience in law enforcement and the things that God has done for me. Eventually, I received a DM on TikTok, and the DM stated that they're looking for people to be on a Mr.Beast challenge, police officers specifically. I ignored that DM and I told them to stop scamming me. I had enough of the nonsense. I had enough of the scams. I didn't want to hear it. That person DM'd me about 3 other times before I took it serious. And once I did, I asked if we could do a FaceTime call or a phone call. She said, sure. I made that phone call, and that phone call changed my life. So everybody that sees this now, I put this out after the Mr.Beast challenge was complete. And I realized that my purpose now is to focus on creating content to bring people to Jesus Christ, especially law enforcement, and to talk about my experience in law enforcement. and to bring a different perspective to it. I've met some wonderful people along the way. Like I said earlier, my wife has been very supportive. Ian, I truly appreciate you, brother. Being in there with you for 100 days, you put me onto a lot. I want to say thank you to the whole Beast team. I want to say thank you to Jimmy for what it is that you do and everybody that you've put me around so that I understand how much content creation can change my life. I never thought that I could get paid from content creation, but I already have by winning the challenge. And now I see how much more can be done, especially with what my good friend Ian has done. So I realized that this is my purpose, and it took for me to get robbed for $100,000 in order for me to figure out that I needed to get closer to God and be where it is that I am today.